Sometimes in life I know it's really hard to get into the swing of things. Well, in today's show, unfortunately, I won't be able to help you with your golf game. But for your computer game, you're definitely in the right place here at Computer Train.
It's time for Computer Train, the weekly TV program that trains you how to use your computer. With your host, El Paso Community College faculty member Russ Meyer.
Let me tell you a little bit about how I came up with some ideas for today's show and how it tied into this whole golf thing. I was reading an article in a golf magazine. Like everything I do, I always try to get a little bit better at it. And of course, just as we talk about with computers, that starts with concepts and fundamentals. So I read this article which had the title of 50 Habits Professional Golfers Are Doing That You're Not Doing. And I was flabbergasted by that. 50 things I'm not doing. So I went through the article, very interesting article. And what they're trying to do with those habits in golf is it's down to the minute, where they're talking about, you know, for example, if you don't clean your grips between shots, you could lose a half to one stroke per round. A half a stroke, I mean, how do you even measure that? So I'm going to take up some of those habits, and it started me thinking about computers and what I've been trying to accomplish on this show. And in fact, I was helping two students in my advanced spreadsheet class. And in that class, I can see that their difficulty, it's not really with the advanced spreadsheet part. It's really that they're lacking some fundamentals that would allow them to move forward and learn new topics like advanced spreadsheets. So let me put my little club away here and let's get down to some computer topics. All right, so there's going to be some things that I have discussed in the previous shows, and in this show I'm not really talking about specific skills, although I am going to throw a couple of things in there. What I really am trying to do is show you an overview of Microsoft Office related to some, again, fundamentals that you need to know so that you can be up and running in those applications whenever you need it. Across these applications in Microsoft Office, and in fact across applications in general, there are some fundamentals. And believe me, it's way more than 50. So if I wrote an article, it could be in a couple of hundred. All right, so let's take first a look at Microsoft Office, its structure, and how some things we learn in one application will lend themselves into another application. And it all starts in Microsoft Office with the ribbon system. Okay, so we have discussed this in previous shows. They came up with the ribbon system because the menu and toolbar system, the new version of Microsoft Word, has in the neighborhood of 15,000 commands available to you. There's just no way to organize that in a neat fashion using menus and toolbars. So they came out with this fantastic thing called the ribbon system. So a couple of quick things about the ribbon system. First of all, across the applications, you can hide the ribbon or show the ribbon. And now with the new version of Microsoft Office, you can do a couple other things. So I want to address this little button right here in the top right. This is the options related to the ribbon system. So let's take a look at those options. Remember, in earlier versions of Microsoft Office, that button was there. How you did the ribbon before is you could right-click on a tab and get a menu to do that. All right, so a couple of choices here. I can show the tabs and commands, which is what I have. I can just show the tabs, which means the commands would not be showing. If you click on a tab, they will show. Or my last option here is I can completely hide the ribbon, tabs and commands, and I'll just be looking at my file. I might use that option if I was in Microsoft Word doing a lot of typing and I'm not going to need the ribbon system. And again, each of those options is not the point right now. The point is, do you know how to set those options up in each of the applications? Once you learn that fundamental in Microsoft Word, it's the same. So if I switch to Microsoft Excel, for example, I have that same button and same options. Okay, so we don't have to keep relearning the same thing over and over again. So if you use Word, you use PowerPoint, you use Excel, you use Microsoft Outlook, you use Microsoft Access, all components of the Microsoft Office suite. Once you understand the components of the ribbon system, it's going to lend itself to learn any of those much more easily. Okay, quickly about the structure of a ribbon system. The ribbon, as it's implemented, is divided up into these tabular structure. Each tab is a different ribbon. Then a particular ribbon is broken up into groups. Okay, so here I'm on the home ribbon. I have the clipboard group, the font group, paragraph group. Okay, within a particular group, we have buttons that represent commands. Okay, so one thing quickly to understand about that a particular button may be a command in and of itself. For instance, I have alignment options here. Each of those are commands in and of themselves. Sometimes a command button will be a command in and of itself, but it will also have a drop-down menu. If you see a couple of these others, like bullets and numbering and outlining, they all have these little arrows next to them. That gives us additional choices for certain commands. Okay, and then finally, within those menus, you could further go to dialog boxes. We've discussed this throughout the computer. These three dots, which are called an ellipsis, means you can get a dialog box of additional choices for that particular command. And then one last thing about the ribbon and the groups is the button here on the bottom right, which is called the dialog box launcher, and as its name implies, it opens up a dialog box for that group of commands. Okay, so the whole point of that is if you understand that, you're ready to go in all the other applications. You have ribbons demonstrated by the tabs. Tabs are broken up into groups. Groups have command buttons. Command buttons can be in and of themselves commands. They could have additional menus. You could go to a dialog box, and then you can get to a dialog box for the entire group. Understanding that, you're well on your way to using any of the other applications that use ribbon systems. Additionally, I think more and more programs that are not even produced by Microsoft are going to go to this ribbon structure because it's very simple to use. Okay, so we want to learn these fundamentals. All right, within those fundamentals, if we look, for instance, at a particular ribbon system for fundamentals that you can do in all programs, obviously Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word are completely different. Word is a word processor where we type up resumes and things of that nature. Excel is a spreadsheet program which we've demonstrated very powerful calculations. But there are things that we can do throughout the programs that are identical. So I'm just going to show you a couple of those. For instance, in all the programs, you can put things related to graphics. Okay, so if we look at this illustrations group related to pictures, online pictures, shapes, smart art, here I am in Microsoft Word. If I switch over to Microsoft Excel and I look at the insert command, you see I have some of the same things. Pictures, online pictures, here are the shapes, and here's the smart art. So those four items are identical. Okay? Once we understand the concept and how to do it, we can do it if we are using PowerPoint, if we need a picture in Word. The only thing that I would caution you about is sometimes in a particular application, it may handle that particular command, or in this case pictures, differently. For instance, if you insert a picture in Microsoft Excel, you just get the picture and you can size it and move it. If you're in Microsoft Word, however, there's a couple more things you would have to do. So let me just insert a quick picture. I'll see if I can find a picture of a computer since we're on Computer Train. Okay, so here's my picture. We'll size it down a little bit so we can see what we're doing. All right, so what's the big difference between Microsoft and Word and Microsoft Excel? Well, in Microsoft Word, what you're doing is you're inserting a picture into text. That's not something you're doing in Excel. That's not something you're doing in Microsoft PowerPoint. So other than just getting the picture there, which is the same throughout the applications, there are additional things you have to learn in Microsoft Word. And we've done that in the past quickly. The big thing you have to remember here for text is how the graphic interacts with the text, and that's called text wrapping. It's so common, you can see that there's a nice little button right there that handles that. And the most common ones, which we've reviewed, is either the square option or the tight option. That way you can put the picture right inside the text and then move it any place that you want. Okay, so those additional skills are not related to Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word. They're more related to a text-based. So even though the fundamentals were the same, there might be additional options you have to learn for the particular application. Okay, this is something that also came out new in, I think it came out in 2013, I'm not positive, maybe 2016. But those are add-ins. Okay, so the add-ins, that is a computer type term which we've described. It's where we're adding something additional to make something give us more tools, more commands that are available to us. Now related to like your cell phone, where you buy apps and you install apps to allow your cell phone to do additional things, you can do that. They've written these small apps for the applications. So you go to the same menu and you can go to the App Store just like you would on your cell phone. Okay, so you can go to the store and we'll click on that. And then they have them categorized, and just like your cell phone, you can do searches for particular things. And again, it's expanding the capabilities of your particular application. Okay, so you can see there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. All right, the only thing that I would caution you is a lot of times they will say that they are free. And you've got to watch the naming there, because technically, by definition, they are free, which means you can add them into your application and it is free. But sometimes to use some of the additional tools that they're talking about, that is where they get you, and that's where you have to pay for things. And I hate that. And it kind of put me in a little quandary, because my wife and I talk about, you know, if you withhold information, is it a lie? Okay, so I'm the husband. I say, no, that's not a lie. I didn't lie to you. If she asks me a question like, have you been golfing today? Speaking of the golfing, the golf club, I won't answer yes or no. I will say something like, I haven't been on a fairway all day. That way she gets the answer she needs, indicating I wasn't golfing, I'm not lying to her, and everybody's happy. Okay, so it's kind of a quandary here, because here I hate it. They say it's free, but they withhold the information, and when you start using it, you find that you're going to have to purchase some things. So the best thing to do that I've been doing when I'm going to add one of these add-ins is look at the reviews, and the reviews will tell you right away, yeah, it's a great app, but you have to buy this, you have to buy that. It's not totally free. So be on the lookout for that. All right, another thing that's common in applications, obviously, is where we relate to saving files. So a quick example of that, I'm going to go to the File Save As command, and we're going to go to the Save As dialog box. All right, so everything I just did, I went to the File, Save As, Browse. That's identical throughout the applications. The only thing that's important here, and again, you have to have your file management skills, which we've discussed in length here at Computer Train, is you have to start understanding file types. And that is related to applications, but that's more related to your skills as a computer user in general. Do you understand some of the different file types that you can save in a particular application? Those file types are also going to be within the family. And what I mean by that is Microsoft Word is a word processor. So all the file types that are related to that will be some type of text-based word processing type file. In Excel, there'll be other Excel related within that family. And again, that's kind of a computer user skill that we're applying to applications. One of the things I wanted you to notice here is the one related to PDF. We've discussed that in Computer Train and before. It stands for Portable Document Format. We use that file type to send files to other people who may not have the particular application, and they can at least view our information. I use that all the time for my online students. I'm the secretary in different clubs, so when I send out information to my clubs, I use PDF, and I can make sure everybody can read it. Now with smartphones, smartphones can easily open up PDF files, so everybody can see it everywhere. That's so common now that Microsoft Office has incorporated that into the Office suite. So once again, if we look at our ribbon system, you can only really have this tab if you have Adobe Acrobat installed on your computer. So you may not have that at home, but if you work at a business or an organization, see if you can get Adobe Acrobat installed, and then that new tab will come up. And what that does is allow a little bit of efficiency. So I'm going to show you just one little aspect here. So oftentimes when I'm creating things, especially for my online students, as I said, the whole purpose of PDFs is to send information out to people, and they don't have to have particular applications. Everybody can open up PDFs, cell phones can open up PDFs. So what I do is in an application, you save to a PDF as I showed you in the file ribbon. Then you go to your email service, then you upload the PDF and you send it out. Well, now with this additional ribbon, I can kind of do all of that in one step. And there's quite a few things here related to PDFs, but the one I'm just going to show you right here is create and attach to email. So it's going to create a PDF, just as if I did a file save as and I change the file type. And then it's immediately going to open up my email program, which I currently have running, and I don't have to go through all those individual steps. The computer is going to go through all of that for me. So let's say I wanted to send out this Microsoft Word document. All I would have to do is click on Create and Attach to Email. It's going to ask me where I want to save it, just like saving a file. So I'll go ahead and save it to my flash drive. Okay, so it's going through the conversion process, opening it, and you can see it's already started my email program and it's already attached my PDF file for me. Okay, so basically in a couple of clicks, it's doing what I had to do individually. Save the file, run my email program, attach the file, do all of that. Now I don't have to do that. Now I just have to fill out who I want to send it to and write them an email. Everything else is already done for me. All right, couple last fundamentals we want to see. So we talked a little bit about the ribbon, but we didn't talk about the QAT. So remember the QAT, it stands for Quick Access Toolbar. It's a toolbar where we can put individual commands that we use frequently. The toolbar can be above or below the ribbon. My personal preference is below. So I want to show you a couple of things. One, how to add a couple of buttons to the QAT, and then one, a lot of people don't know this, but you can create your own ribbon in Microsoft Office. A couple of ways to do this, but I'm going to use the File ribbon. So I'm going to come up here to the File ribbon, and I'm going to come down to Options. All right, and then we have two buttons that relate to the ribbon and the Quick Access Toolbar. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this one first, Quick Access Toolbar. And what you do here is you're going to put the buttons that you most frequently use. So I've already added some buttons. Usually what I use the QAT for is essentially a replacement of that file menu. That file menu has open, close, save, save as, print preview, all the file commands. So I put a lot of those on the QAT because I'm going to use those in almost every single file. So I put those on the QAT. But using the categories, you can add any command to the QAT. So once again, as we've discussed in previous shows, if there's some command in a particular application in Office that you use over and over and over again, just add it to the QAT. You can change the menu and narrow it down by the ribbons. You can go to every single command available to you. Once you find it, you just click on it and click Add. Very, very straightforward. Okay, so you definitely want to use the QAT throughout Microsoft Office. Remember, the whole point of this show is understanding that something that we're learning in one program in Office is a fundamental in all programs that will help us. All right, the other thing I want to show you that a lot of people don't know about is customizing the ribbon. Okay, so here are the ribbons. Now, customizing means a lot to that. You can actually change the order of the ribbons. You can change some things on the ribbons. I don't recommend it because then when you sit down in different computers that have Office like I do, you forget where commands are. So I usually don't modify my ribbon in that way. What I do, however, is in a particular program in Office, I can add my own ribbon tab and I can put the commands on that ribbon tab. So it's like an additional quick access toolbar with a separate ribbon. And it's very simple to do. All right, so if you see down here, we're going to create a new tab. New tab essentially is a new ribbon. So I'll click on that button for New Tab, and it already creates it. So right here you can see that it's created it. Okay, we can use these buttons to move it around so you can move it wherever you want. If you right-click on it or click on the button on the bottom, you can rename it. So I'll do that. So go to Rename, and I'll call this Russ's Stuff. Okay, so these are the buttons that I'm going to use frequently. Okay, remember we just talked about ribbons are broken up into groups. So we have a new group automatically created. We can rename that. So I'll call this one my main commands that I use. Okay, and then what you do is the same thing you do with your QAT. You find the particular command you want, make sure your group is highlighted, and when you add it, it will add it to that group. So you'll have a new ribbon, new group, and some buttons on it. So I'll just add a couple unrelated to my personal preference, but just to show you. So we'll click OK. All right, so now if we look back at our ribbon, we have a new ribbon called Russ's Stuff. Okay, so if I click on that ribbon, I have a new group, and my new group has the command. So I can create as many groups as I want, just like a regular ribbon, and I can add the command. So it's a really nice feature. The QAT is awesome. You can add buttons for quick access there, but I like to have my own ribbon, and then I put a lot of groups and a lot of commands that I use frequently. As a heavy user of computers, there's commands I use all the time, that are fundamental throughout the applications. So I create my own ribbon and I put those buttons up there, and then I can find them quickly all in one place. I got to be careful though, because I use it so often that when I sit at somebody else's computer and I want a particular command, sometimes I forget the ribbon and the group that they're in. Okay, so that relates to the last topic we're going to talk about, which is getting help on the computer. One of the things I wanted to review, and I talked about this many shows ago, is getting help. It's become advanced, and now we're going to talk about Office 2016 and how to get some assistance. But there's one key on your keyboard that will essentially open up the help facility for almost any program I can think of, and that is the Function 1 key at the top of your keyboard. Remember, the keyboard has function keys at the top. And now most of the F1 keys in programs are associated with what we call context-sensitive help. And what that means is, before, when you used to press F1, it would open up a general help facility. It would give you a search. It would have it indexed, and you'd have to really search for a command that you were trying to get assistance on. Now, for instance, I'm in the Save As command. So if I press F1, it should open up context-sensitive help. So it does open up the help facility, but if you look at the topic right off the bat, the topic that it starts to discuss is exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, that's called context-sensitive help. Let's see how well it works in another location. Let's say I went to the layout and I went to paragraph dialog box. Okay, so maybe I'm confused about some things in the paragraph dialog box. I'll see if I can get some help, F1. And once again, you can see these topics related to indentation, line spacing, those are directly related to what that dialog box is all about. Okay, so F1, remember that key in all applications, not just Microsoft Office. All right, and then finally in Office 2006, we have this new enhanced help. We've kind of demonstrated that in the past, where you can now put in a particular topic, and not only does it open up help about that, but it actually brings those commands into the menu. So let's say I was trying to change line spacing. Okay, so you can see it will give you an option to get help on the line spacing, but it gives you buttons right here where you can go to line spacing right now. Before, it would tell you how to get help, and it would tell you where to go in the ribbon to do that. Now it brings that command directly into the menu. Okay, so plenty of help you can get on the computer for anything that you need to do. And the whole point of this show, related to what we started with, is one major word, and that's fundamentals. All right, so we're going to wrap up this show. Remember, it was all about fundamentals. And one of the things that I started with was about golfers and things you can do that professional golfers are doing. And that's the whole point of computers. Throughout my numerous shows that I've been doing and how it all started, I'm just trying to describe each show. There's some things that advanced users are doing that kind of average users are not doing. And the main thing about is understanding the fundamentals and learning those concepts, as we just discussed in this show. So I hope you take some time. It's well worth it, and the 5 minutes you spend now will save you time throughout all the applications. So I'd be a little remiss if I didn't give you a little golf help. There's a couple of things that professional golfers do that you don't have to be a professional golfer to do it. And it all starts with the golf club, a couple of things right off the bat. So the first thing is understanding about these grooves on the face of any of your golf clubs. they're actually ridges. Okay, and what the ridges help do is help get some spin on the ball, and that's what helps gets it in the air. A lot of people try to help the ball up, which is not going to work. So right off the bat, if those ridges are filled in with dirt, you're not going to have a ridge there. You're going to have a flat surface. Okay, so you don't need to be a PGA professional to clean your golf clubs. Okay, make sure you clean them, and I even clean them in between shots. Same thing goes for your grip. Okay, the golf swing all starts with the grip. We don't have to be a PGA professional to grip the club properly. Okay, so I usually change my grips about once every year and a half, depending on how frequently you're going to play. But more importantly, what I do, as I was describing in the beginning, is I actually wipe off my grips between every single shot. So the next time that I need this particular club, that grip is going to be clean and I'm going to be able to use it. Once again, it's a fundamental, and you don't have to be some high-level golfer to do a couple of things that are going to help you in the game. And the same thing goes with the computer. You don't have to be, a supercomputer user and know everything that I know in order to be an effective user. Some of the things that I described on this show, everybody can do. Set up your ribbon, set up your QAT. Make sure you understand this concept, and it's the same concepts throughout the computer. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed all the fundamentals that I gave you today, and I'll see you the next time on Computer Train.